Hello and welcome to not the Halloween episode of Kaotikast. We are going to do a Halloween episode, we promise. So yeah,
Eventually.
I am Levy. I am the guy that does all the topics.
I do all the recording and all the editing, which is actually significantly harder and more time consuming.
He's the tech. You're the tech guy. Oh, and also I'm the guy that does this.
Yeah, the guy that plays random sound effects.
What? That's like the best part of a podcast. It's like a fucking
I was
radio
about to
station,
say, yeah,
man.
it's like a radio show.
It's like, yeah, my main plan is
the
that
power
we're
of the
just
internet.
gonna...
Some random assholes can start up a fucking essentially like a fucking radio show and like have it be about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, all we have to do is just give it out for free and not tell anybody about it. And just
that's unless Spotify like buys us out or something and starts censoring us like the Joe Rogan podcast.
And then we just throw in random fart sound effects like this one.
Yeah. That's how I get to the
top. Just keep using fart sound effects. It's all good. But yeah, we will talk about 2 games that came out recently, or one that's coming out soon.
What are we what are we calling this podcast? By the way, like I didn't even ask. Yeah, I think we were gonna talk about underrated stuff and
filler episode 3 under.
Maybe I should just say like
anything
the filler arc. Just call it the filler
arc.
It's like an anime.
The final. Fine, filler arc super.
It's going to be the next Naruto Shippuden, where it's just mostly just filler arcs.
No, it's Boruto when he's all grown up and shit.
I can't believe people actually enjoyed that show.
I can't believe that Naruto kept going.
I know people talk about One Piece, like it's really just like One Piece and Naruto, like those shows those anime that just won't die and they'll just keep going forever.
Don't get me started on One Piece. One of my coworkers, he just works the fucking oven and all he has on his fucking phone is One Piece. On speakers, so everyone has to hear Luffy yelling "Gum Gum" and whatever the fuck he does.
Is there like an audio narration of it or something?
No, he has his phone. He's putting it like on display so he can actually see what he's watching.
Oh, so
but he like listens to his background noise, and it's not in English. It's like full on Japanese.
Does he understand anybody's like Japanese at all or no?
Maybe because all he talks about when he's on his phone with his friends is talking about anime, Among Us, and fucking PS4 games, and he said that Horizon Zero Dawn was the best game he wanted to try, and I wanted to try it and be like, nope.
Did he say the best game in general, or just like one of the best PS4 games? Like,
I think he was trying to say one of the best PS4 games he's ever he wanted to try.
It's okay. Like I would definitely not go that far. Like it's not one of the best games.
It's not.
It, it has a very average story with very average kind of characters, I would say. Like I mean, like in terms of a game, like it's fun, but in terms of like an open world game, it's really like I would just say in the game in general really is not anything you haven't seen before.
It's nothing to write home about. Honestly, I would say Persona 5 was the better PS4 game.
Yeah. I would agree.
Or with that. We could just lie to ourselves and say Last of Us Part 2 is.
Well, you already know it's going to win all the awards anyway. All the critics are going to fillet it.
They're going to get on their knees and be, oh, thank you, Naughty Dog.
Suck Cuckman's micropene.
It's not Kojima. What are you talking about? That's like my guess is that it's not going to win best game of the year. It's going to go to something else.
I don't know. The Game of the Year awards have kind of just become a joke. So
Unless it was like last year's, where Sekiro won.
Yeah, I mean, but they did that just to basically, you know, quote unquote, subvert your expectations.
Yeah, it's like, what would you rather have? Would you rather have an overrated walking simulator, a remake, a game that was highly inspired by Mass Effect and Fallout New Vegas, or a game that plays like Dark Souls in feudal Japan?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a terrible game. It wasn't a bad game either. It was, you know, it was decent for what it was, but it wasn't Game of the Year, I don't think.
Oh, no, I'd rather have Super Smash Brothers win Game of the Year. What are you talking about?
Although I know Critical fucking loved the game.
Wait, he loved Death Stranding or Sekiro? I didn't really care about it. I thought it was good for what it was.
I thought it relied way too much on just the parry system. It's pretty much just like a one-trick pony.
Honestly, Bloodborne was better. But, yeah, since we're not doing the Halloween podcast, we might as well talk about 2 games that were released, like, recently.
Yeah.
And another one that's going to come out tomorrow, but will be released.
Let's talk about the one that actually came out. I mean, I know, of course, with the other game, people are getting their copies early and streaming it on YouTube already and all this other shit. So it's like, good luck avoiding spoilers. But yeah, so for the other game that's we're going to talk about, it's Remothered Broken Porcelain. I was looking forward to this game because I enjoyed the first one. And I didn't pre-order it just because the only experience I have with the developer is the first game. And while I was hyped for it, I decided it's best to wait and see what happens. And it ended up being a good decision that I didn't pre-order the game, because as we have found out, the game is pretty much broken at launch. It's full of glitches and bugs, and the hitboxes are all wonky apparently. The enemy AI is very stupid at times and then very smart in other instances. And the frame rate is also a huge problem in some areas too. And this is across all platforms. This isn't just like a specific issue with a specific platform. This is just like across the board. So yeah, that's incredibly disappointing. And I guess if anything, you could cite this as an example of why pre-ordering isn't always the best idea.
Like the title speaks for itself. It is broken.
Yeah, ironically enough.
And I wanted to get this game too, because you were saying that Remothered Broken.
It was Tormented Fathers. That was the first one.
And I bought the game, hadn't played it, but from what I've seen of it, it looked really good and promising.
I would play it. You can get through the game in one sitting.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, though, is that the second game comes out, and all of a sudden, every critic, like, I'm looking at the scores, highest score that I've seen is a 60, or a 6 out of 10, while everyone else is like 4, 5.
It's disappointing, like I said, because I was really excited for this game, and apparently we're just basically waiting on a huge patch that is going to fix these issues. Apparently a patch actually did come out, but I don't know how many issues it actually addresses. So I guess until we have any sort of updates on that, I'm kind of watching the Steam review page just to see if there are any updated reviews that say, hey, the game is playable now. Until that happens, I think I'm just gonna wait for a bit, and until the game actually gets fixed, then I'll buy the game. But until then, I don't think I'm gonna bother with the game.
Well, funny you say that. I actually have the patch notes right here that came out.
I did kind of briefly go over those, but I don't know if that, how true it is, if it actually does fix those issues.
What, the bug fixes or all that, or the game changes?
I guess everything. I mean, what's in the what does it say that it fixes?
General changes. Brazilian Portuguese is now available.
Oh, great. I'm sure everybody was waiting for that.
I want to speak Portugal. But no, apparently gameplay, the moth power can bounce off of obstacles instead of being stuck. Added a 1-second buffer to start cutscenes where they're unskippable, to prevent cinematics being skipped by accident. But here's the bug fixes. Andrea will remain knocked out after saving and reloading after acquiring her key. Fix some cases where an enemy got stuck on objects. Several situations that resulted in the player no longer be able to control Jennifer or prevent his progress. And then Jennifer has no longer the ability to attack after she's been killed. Wait, what?
Yeah, I guess that was an issue.
Wait, so this game, they fucked up so royally that they can attack things after the character's killed. Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of issues with it. I mean, apparently people were saying it just felt like an early alpha for the game. So that's pretty bad. And also, like, I noticed, like, when I was, like, looking at footage of, at least maybe, I don't know if it was a YouTube issue or whatever, but when I was looking at certain reviews for the game, when they said they were playing it with the console version, like, the graphics looked significantly worse than, like, the PC version of the game. I know, of course, PC version in general looks better, but, I mean, the graphics on the console look really muddy and weird. Like, I just don't know what the issue was. Maybe it could have just been the video I was looking at, but it looked really bad. Like,
it could have been the video you were looking at, because
when I saw the PC version, it looked like night and day. I was like, what is going on?
Oh, but you know, PC master race all the way.
I mean, the games objectively look better on PC, so I mean, it's not really anything you could really debate, in my opinion.
Well, I could debate it if you have a good enough capture or video card for it.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. If you have a good graphics card.
Oh, you mean on PC? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the game. It's not hard to get the PC version of a game to look better than the console counterpart.
No, there isn't a way, because apparently consoles are preset with a certain graphics card.
Yeah, you can't change your hardware out on a console, and it's pretty much at a set resolution. Unless, of course, you get an upgrade console, which you have to pay an ass load more money for.
Or, if you... the upgraded console, or to get the upgraded game like Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, which you can actually play on both consoles.
Yeah. But as with the other game, Amnesia Rebirth, that is coming out as of the recording of this tomorrow, and I will be doing a playthrough of that game because I'm pretty excited for it. I'm a huge fan of the first game, so I'm looking forward to this one, especially since it's it's actually being done by Frictional, and not the Chinese Room. So,
but Chaos, everybody's gone to Amnesia. Yeah, I'm looking at the reviews for Rebirth. This is the PS4 version, by the way. Apparently, it has like a 75 out of 100, so it looks good on PS4.
Yeah, I did kind of. Well, I guess you could say I did spoil myself a little bit as to like the basic plot and everything, because I watched the review, but the review was basically saying it was a decent game, but it was not nearly as good as the original game, which honestly I'm fine with, because I mean the original game is kind of hard to live up to, but at the same time it's kind of like it's a little bit disappointing that some certain mechanics haven't really changed at all from the first game, and you're kind of expecting like some improvement there, but there's not really much of a difference.
For what I'm seeing of the game, though, at least they tried to make the game good while going away from the original.
Yeah, I mean, it's set in the same. I mean, apparently it takes place around, like, I think it said like about 100 years after the first one.
Oh, geez.
But it's not as I don't know if it's as far as into the future as like A Machine for Pigs. I'm not exactly sure, but it still has some of the same mechanics, which is like the sanity mechanic and the light. You need to keep the resource management mechanic. Machine for Pigs had none of that, so I mean that's already a huge step up.
Let's keep it that way, because I know for a fact when people played A Machine for Pigs, they were like, "This isn't good."
No, it's really I really would not recommend it. It's just a waste of your time. I mean, if you do have the Chinese spyware launcher, the Epic launcher, you can get the Machine for Pigs for free. So there is that. So I mean, at least you won't be paying money for it. So I guess for any of you that do have the Epic launcher, then you could do that, and at least if you decide to waste your time with that game, you'd know that you didn't pay for it. So that's one thing you can
do. You actually made this a good segue, because speaking of free games, apparently the creator of Sonic is pissed off at Sega.
Why is that exactly?
Because Sega gave away Sonic 2 and Nights into Dreams for free on Steam.
Why is he mad about that though? Like, I mean, how much money do you think that guy gets just from like Sonic? All this money he gets off of Sonic sales and all that.
Here's why. Because apparently he wished that Sega valued the people who created Sonic 2 and Nights into Dreams a little more than they usually do.
What does he mean by that?
Okay, here we go. It's like, so he has like he has a tweet, but it's Japanese, but in English it's like, so now they've made Nights free too. First Sonic 2 and now this. Just what's going on with Sega? I think it'd be okay for them to value Sonic and Nights a little more, but I guess it can't be helped since they're old games now.
Well, yeah, they're old games. I just like, yeah, I mean those are older games. They're probably occasionally going to be given away for free. I mean,
well, here's why. There, I found out more of a reason.
Okay.
It was because that the people that made them, they're not listed as like the main reason behind the game's creation and all that. So it's essentially based around worker appreciation.
So is that his argument?
What? I don't know. You have to be.
Well, I mean, I just don't.
Because
I just don't think it's really like. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's actually free right now anymore either. So, because
well, no, it was only free for like maybe a little. It was like free for like a few weeks or a few days or so.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, I just don't like. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm. It's an ignorant statement, but I feel like the guy probably has a fuck ton of money if he's the creator, being the creator of Sonic, and also Nights. Yeah. Like, and him not getting that little bit of money, just and having them just give the game away for free for, I mean, a limited time, not forever or anything like that, is something worth getting bent out of shape about. Like, it's just a ridiculous thing to complain about, in my opinion, unless the guy is really hurting for money, which I don't believe he is, being who he is.
Okay, I'm gonna look up what all he made. He created Sonic, he created Nights, or actually he programmed Nights into Dreams. He programmed it and produced it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also directing the game Balan Wonderworld when that comes out next year.
Yeah, I mean, I like compare that to I don't know, because maybe this just speaks to my ignorance of people who create video games. But as far as I know, a lot of the people who are the creators of these video games that end up becoming huge franchises, like Sonic, for example, they're pretty well to do. They're pretty fucking well off. You want to compare that to something like, I don't fucking know, look at the manga industry and people who create big manga franchises. Like, look at the guy behind Attack on Titan, Hajime Isayama. That guy slaves away all fucking day. All he does is work on that manga. And he's not, I wouldn't consider him well to do. He's pretty much a normal dude. He's probably a lot, well known, but I don't think he's swimming in money or anything like that. And he has to work constantly. He doesn't get a break. They literally they have a documentary on you, or an interview of him on YouTube where he literally just spends 2 hours a day playing Splatoon, and then he goes back to working on the manga. That is most of what he does. It's 98% of what he does.
It's like the day of the life of a struggling artist. Trying to create something. They usually just don't give a shit about the money at all.
Some people in that industry will literally fall over and die while working on working on a franchise series or something.
Yeah, it's but then you have another example, the guy who created One Punch Man, who didn't even put a lot of effort into his fucking work, and yet now he's swimming in money because it became a popular franchise.
I wouldn't say he didn't put in effort. I think he put in effort. He's just not he's not a good artist, but he put he still went forward with his ideas and his story. He had a good enough story that people want artists wanted to work with him and like try to put it into the mainstream.
I mean, yeah, but what I mean by not enough effort, he made his art somewhat minimalistic.
I mean, he's just not a very good artist. Well, I mean, I guess you could argue that, but he just isn't a great artist, you know. Like, I mean, there's plenty of dudes, you know, that'll have good story ideas, but you know, they're trying to do a visual medium, but they're not the best artists. But their ideas will be good enough that it'll just sell like hotcakes, regardless of the art not being so good.
Let me ask you a question. Like, is there like a moment where they're in the development world or manga, video game world, where someone has good design ideas and good ideas, but when it comes to story, it kind of goes flat?
You mean like style over substance?
Yeah, like the one person I'm thinking of is Nomura with Kingdom Hearts. That's the one person that comes to mind.
I would say Nomura did have good like concepts, like maybe not the best, you know. I mean, I don't know. I think he can tell a good story, but he needs to be reined in. Like, he's not he
Okay, Nomura, put down the zippers. We get it. And the pro way the belts.
It's like Kojima, because you know Kojima kind of does the same thing, where it's like, you know, he can tell a good story, but like if you let him go too far, he'll just go wild, like, you know, like he does with Death Stranding.
Okay, Kojima, we get it. We get it. You like Monster Energy drinks. Stop putting it in the game. Okay, we get it. You want to see people shitting themselves and making shit bombs. We get it, Kojima. It's revolutionary. Now please stop.
Well, yeah, but speaking of, well, I guess this might be a good segue as well. I think you wanted to talk about your experience with the most recent Star Wars movie.
Oh God. I was actually, you know what? I'm actually going to continue that, like, until we get to like the main topic. Okay. But dear Lord, the story I will tell you.
No, what story?
It'll fall into place with what we're going to talk about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the movie story, because I was like, yeah, there's nothing there.
Don't remind me. But what was it? Like, another game that came out recently that was free was Streets of Kamurocho, which was the Streets of Rage 2 mixed with the Yakuza paint job.
Yeah.
Like, what next? Like, when the credits come out, it's like, oh, hey, they made it too. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
we get it.
It's a good idea. I mean, you know, it's a good way to try to get people, you know, try to get more people interested in Yakuza.
Yep. And maybe Streets of Rage. Mm-hmm. What was another thing? Oh, that was just it. But I have to ask: have you played Ghost of Tsushima Legends yet?
No, I don't really know if I have too much interest in it, just because I'm not really huge into multiplayer or co-op.
Like, from what I've seen of it, it is a good thing, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good idea. It's basically a free add-on to the game.
Yeah, a free add-on that says, "Hey, Last of Us Part 2, we actually have multiplayer."
Yeah.
Where's Factions 2? Oh, right. It's barely going to come out.
Yeah, I mean this game has I think it's been out for around the same amount of time as Last of Us Part 2, and it's already got the multiplayer component. I've been there's not hearing anything about Factions, which some people, that's their whole reason for buying the game, which honestly I think is stupid, but you know, you do you.
Oh, I agree, because I don't understand. I don't even understand why people like Factions in the first place.
I mean,
it's not that.
Apparently, I played a little bit of it in the original game. It's okay. Like, it's a serviceable multiplayer component, but it's really nothing that I would be like, oh man, I gotta play Factions today. You know, I gotta fucking play this the multiplayer for The Last of Us. You know, it's like I mean, it's a good time waster maybe, but then, you know, once you play it a few times, you'll probably just never pick it up again.
They're fucking treating it like it's a high class prostitute. It's like people would hold it in high fucking regard, but it's only lasts a while for like maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like the combat gameplay of The Last of Us has never really been the best. Like it's decent, but it's just like that's not really, at least for me, that's not the main selling point of the game.
It's just Uncharted within a post-apocalyptic universe. Yeah. That's all the gameplay is.
I mean, you know, Uncharted has its multiplayer component too.
But that was a lot better than Factions.
Yeah. I don't remember much about that either. I remember Uncharted 3's multiplayer.
I remember playing Uncharted 4's multiplayer, and it was good.
Yeah.
Until some asshole decides, hey, grappling hook, punch you. You're dead now.
That sounds pretty broken.
Yeah, control across the room. Oh, man. Like, I'm just remembering a time where games used to be good, tell a good story, not ruin anything.
Yeah.
Yep, looking at you, Last of Us Part 2. And yep, that's all for Ghost of Sushi now.
Yeah, I can't really speak on it since I haven't actually, like, played the multiplayer component yet, so I don't know.
It looks promising.
I mean,
though.
Based on the trailer, yeah, it looked good.
And from what I've seen of some people playing it, it actually looks great.
Yeah.
And apparently, I love how there's like someone's like, "Hey, here's 7 essential gameplay tips for playing fucking Ghost of Tsushima Legends." But I do think it's kind of cool though, because you can actually bring someone in to do story missions.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting.
Very. Well, and also speaking of Sony, they announced more of what they're doing with trophies.
Yeah. So apparently, I mean, it's a good idea. Like, I mean, you know, yeah, if you have enough trophies, then basically you get these, you know, you can get a theme or you can get like an avatar or something like that. I mean, hey, that would have been cool if you did it with the PS4, but I think, is this just exclusive to the PS5 or is it like...
Yeah. Even they said that they've done it with the PS5 or PS4. But only if you unlock the platinum trophy. I'm just looking at this going... So you're doing the same thing the 360 did.
I didn't even know they 360 did that.
Oh, 360 did that a lot. Like, what was it? If you played through a game and unlocked an achievement, you unlocked a avatar item. Either a shirt, a little accessory.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they did that, and that was kind of good. Mm-hmm. But now I'm seeing it for PlayStation. It's just, I just don't give a shit. But I've seen so many people creaming their pants, seeing this, going, "Oh my god, PlayStation 5 is so good." I
mean, that's like it's a good idea, but I mean, it's just like
it's not a selling point.
It's not a selling point for the console.
It's really not, and the UI is not a selling point either. It's like all it is just a. It's just a new paint job. It's the same thing as the PS4 one. Just looks different.
It's just a slightly different like PS4 user interface. You know, it's not really anything new. Exactly. It's kind of just a basic redesign of what we saw with the PS4.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just a reskin.
Yeah, I mean, which is honestly like it's fine. I mean, I wish they would have maybe done something a little bit different, but you know, I'm mostly like just getting on the PS5 because doesn't have as many games as I would like, you know, that I'm really interested in playing on there, and the features it's introducing is not really doing much to sell me on it, especially when it came out that they're going to be recording your voice conversations. Did we talk about that on the last podcast?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing that kind of deters me from wanting to fucking not touch the thing. Not that I really, you know, get into voice chats, but it's really just more the principle of it. Like, why the hell are you recording voice chats?
Oh, so what? Little Timmy said the N-word while playing?
Yeah, like I think apparently the reasoning behind it too is like, supposedly, I can't really confirm if this is true, but I think it's just because, you know, it's a way for them to stop hate speech or whatever it is.
My little Timmy doesn't need to hear such words. John, call the president.
Like, there's so many things. There's so many things that are kind of like giving away that Sony is just no longer a Japanese, or at least the PlayStation brand is no longer a Japanese based company, because, you know, there's a lot of as you would say, woke things kind of seeping its way into the onto the platform. Apparently, just recently, a more recent controversy is Sony releasing this BLM theme that you can get for free. You didn't know about that? Yeah.
No, because I'm fine with my Concrete Genie theme, thank you.
Yeah, they did that, and I find that incredibly hypocritical, because you know damn well they would not have any sort of MAGA related thing on the fucking PlayStation Store. So, but BLM, that's perfectly fine. So I just think it's double standards, and I think it really just kind of shows that, yeah, like I said, this is no longer a Japanese company that doesn't really, you know, is not trying to get political or woke or whatever.
But yet you can actually get a King of Fighters theme. It's a static theme though, but you can get one of Angel and has like a close up of her ass and tits.
Oh, don't worry, that'll probably go soon enough. I'm just waiting for everything to slowly become sanitized on that platform. That's another reason for me just not to bother with it.
It's like I don't hate PlayStation. I think it's like one of the
I don't
great
hate it,
consoles
but
that came
I
out.
feel like it's slowly going down a dark path, and I think it needs to. I think it needs what's the word? I think it needs a course correction.
Yeah, they need a. It needs to be reformed.
The problem is, of course, like, you know, as we all know, the headquarters is now in California. So I think that's I think that a lot of issues are probably coming from that.
Yep. Oh, what's that? What's that? Little Timmy is playing an anime game with titties? Oh, nope, censor it. Oh, but they can watch a trans man or trans woman being railed from behind by a guy. That's A-okay.
I mean, I just see this all as like the modern day. I don't know if I'd say satanic panic, but like you know, don't play those video games because they're violent. Now it's don't play those video games because you'll become a sexist.
It goes back to the old television argument where it's like kids aren't allowed to watch TV because there's tits on there, but it doesn't matter if there's someone getting shot up. Oh, that's A-okay because it's not tits. It's a reason. It's like kind of like their way of saying, hey, don't tell your kids what sex is. Show them someone getting their head blown off with a shotgun.
Well, actually, I think it's actually sort of the opposite, because it's like they want to have kids learn about this stuff from a really young age, which they really shouldn't be learning about it.
No, like 4th graders being taught about sex ed. That's
or their quote unquote gender identity.
Yeah, it's like, why the fuck are you going to like throw that into a 10-year-old's head that, oh, if it's okay if you want to have sex, here's a condom.
Yeah.
It's like okay, aces. Thank you, government, for making that possible.
Yeah. It's pretty fucked up. Anyways,
yeah. It could be worse.
Yeah.
Man. So yes, that one's done. Sony Trophies is done.
Yeah. A feature that it's like, it's a good idea, but it's like, why didn't you implement this before?
Yeah. Well, I think we can move on to one topic we don't really talk about in the podcast.
What's that?
Which is music.
Well, actually, we have talked about it before.
Well, not frequently. Like, we don't talk about
that's
much,
more your area of expertise.
Unless it's a band that we can both agree on.
Yeah.
Like System of a Down.
True.
Yeah, because I was just looking through like news articles trying to find topics, and this one stuck out to me, which was the basis explaining why the band cannot make music.
Really?
Yeah, and I read through it, and he goes on to say that oh, he loves being in the band. He likes hanging out with them though.
Are they they're they didn't get back together, did they? Or are they like because I know like
they did. Okay. No, they did. They got back together 10 years ago, but they hadn't made any more music. Instead, they just do tours. And everyone's been asking them for System of a Down to make new music, and the drummer, being the little shit starter, decides to go on and say, "We're making music," and then they're denying it, and then like, "Oh, Serge is to blame." Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, like the only things I've heard from Serge is just his solo stuff, not so much anything from System of a Down.
Not the guitarist, not Scars on Broadway.
Well, yeah, I mean, I honestly completely forgot about Scars on Broadway.
Well, yeah, because he changed his name from Scars on Broadway to Darren Macklin and Scars on Broadway. Just I kind of say, hey, it's my fucking band, bitches. Yeah. But yeah. Well, apparently the reason why System of a Down is not making music is just because they're feeling a lot of pressure from doing it, but it's always something that has to do with a lot of people. Like, he said that Serge will post something political, the drummer does something at like telling people where's the new record.
Yeah, I mean the band has always kind of had a lot of social political commentary in their songs, so I mean, yeah, I would think this would actually, like, I don't know, do you think maybe it's because they don't want to alienate any of their fan base by like picking a side or anything like that? Like, because of how you know we realize how hyper politicized everything is right now. Like, I mean, you think maybe that's part of the reason they just don't want to, like, kind of come out for or against any one particular issue?
I mean, that is a possibility, that the reason why they're not going to make a new album is just because there's a lot of people that support one side or the other, and they don't want to be because, like, oh, they said fuck the Democrats.
Because we remember around the, I mean, it's really like the Bush-Obama era, I think, like they were, like a lot of people, like, were kind of, I feel like even if they weren't, they made a song that might have contradicted the beliefs of a group of people, it wasn't as, they probably wouldn't face as much backlash as they probably would today.
Yeah, it's like, what was it? When they did the song Boom, it was during the war protests against President Bush's idea for sending people to Iraq. Yeah. It just became like a big controversy after that, because they made Boom and it got taken off at MTV because it was directed by Michael Moore.
Oh, jeez.
But I can kind of see what you're saying with that. Like, the reason why they won't record is because it would alienate some of their fan base.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is possible that they could still record.
I mean, we do have other groups that we can look at, like Rage Against the Machine, who have come out on the Trump derangement side of things, apparently.
Or fucking Fever 333 talking about the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, and how they support them. But it's just weird how you see all these bands that talk about politics and they either agree with them and give them positive reviews, or they disagree and give them negative reviews.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when you have a band, or a group that's kind of, that specifically makes music about that kind of stuff, and, you look at the kind of times we're living in, then, yeah, it's like you're going to get backlash from one side or another. But
yeah, it's going to get backlash. Or unless you're like Ninja Sex Party and just makes whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. I feel like the best thing to do is just make fun of, or, just kind of, regardless of what party supports what. You know, you just, you know, say how you feel about something, which, you know, is how it should be, but it's like, even if they did that, then I feel like that it's, like I said, you can't please everyone. So, you know, you'd be like, you'd either be catering to this side or that side, regardless of how that, you know, based on how they see it.
I think that's the best way to describe it, is like, if you want to become a musician, don't do what other people would want you to do. Do what you want to say, what you want to say about shit.
I mean, that's how it should be for art in general, is like, you know, you should just make the kind of art that you want to make without having to feel restricted by people's expectations of you or the backlash you might get for doing something.
Yeah, and don't expect people to come out and say, your writing is whiny. That's terrible. But no, I mentioned Ninja Sex Party because their newest album came out, and I was disappointed with it a bit. I don't think you've heard of their songs, have you?
Told me, you've mentioned them before, but I've never listened to them.
It was essentially a comedy band that just made, like, the whole premise is like, hey, one of the band members is a ladies' man, but he can never get laid.
How does that work?
I don't know. Ask Danny from Game Grumps how that works. It's just a big parody, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
They're good at what they do, but at the same time, the prophecy was a big disappointment for me.
Yeah, I have no opinion on that.
I mean, if it was good, I would have talked about it in our recurrent segment, but nope. But yeah, I think we can get to the main potatoes about what this podcast is about. Main topic of this whole podcast. What?
You mean?
It was a topic that I've been wanting to do since, I don't know, 10 episodes ago, but it kept getting pushed.
Yeah, which is basically underrated media.
Which, why not? Why aren't people talking about the majority of underrated media or not underrated media? Underrated media. Why? If you want to talk about if people want to talk about underrated media, they can go watch Cuties.
Holy shit!
Jesus Christ!
I didn't know this was fucking movie bobs.
Or I was gonna say, or they could watch Stranger Things, which deals with like teens fighting against fucking.
Well, that would monsters. Be you mean like coming of age?
Yeah, that's the better one. Or Superbad. Yeah. Superbad was better. But no, I just think that underrated media should be like. It should be like discussed more because there's like so much that comes out nowadays that's very underrated. Like, but here's my thing: what would you consider to be like underrated? Like something that it has like critical acclaim, but no one really knows about it, or it has like it's a good like something that's really good, but it doesn't have that much attention from like critics.
Yeah, pretty much anything that's actually pretty good and just does not have that much attention from like mainstream audience or critics, or something where it's actually really good and critics will blast it, but the audience actually like really enjoyed it.
Or vice versa, where the critics will praise it, but audience members will look at it and go,
I mean, in that regard, I feel like it's it might be deserving of its more obscure status in that case, but
yeah, it almost falls into obscurity. Like Little King Story is a good example of something that's very underrated. Like when that game came out, critics actually liked it. They said that it was actually a good game. But then when you look at sales for it, it didn't get that many sales.
Yeah, and then like I think I mentioned this before, but like one of the games I've been doing the playthrough of, Rule of Rose, that's a game that's not very well known, and that's mainly just because it didn't really have a lot of copies available in the US, or like it just kind of went out of print, so it became a rare game. So not a lot of people were able to get a hold of it. But it's a really good game for what it is. It doesn't really do anything to, I would say, like revolutionize survival horror, but it's a decent game.
It does like its own little twist, or its own.
I mean, I would say it kind of has a somewhat unique setting. Like it's set in an airship for the most part, which is, I would say, fairly original for a horror game.
Yeah, I could say that, because from what I've seen of it, for when you played it, it actually looked pretty interesting. But to me, it sounds like something that... It looks like something I probably wouldn't play personally, but I would watch someone play it.
Yeah,
like
you mentioned Tulip before.
Yeah, because it's made by the same people. Because I watched someone do a series of it, and they even said it's a game worth watching but not playing.
Yeah, like there's a lot of definitely obscure games, especially like from the the PS2 era, and maybe even the 7th gen as well. Like in terms of video games, but yeah, I'm not really sure what else I've played that I would say is like really good. But like, you know, it's really good and underrated.
I would say
I don't really know if a lot of people like. I would say maybe like, I guess considering this is the month of October and we're talking about like we're going to talk about horror. Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth.
True.
I don't really.
I heard that.
What did you say?
Oh, I said I heard that.
It's good, yeah, but like you don't really hear a lot of people really talk about it that much anymore. But it's a pretty decent survival horror game. The only problem with that game is that it gets kind of ridiculous as it goes on. In the beginning segment of the game, it's more of a survival horror game, but for some reason, the devs decided to turn it into like more of a first-person shooter as the game goes on and have it more focused on action, which I have no idea why they thought that would be a good idea, because the shooting mechanics in that game are terrible. So I can't understand that, because it had so much promise. Like it had so much about the beginning part of that game is great, but then when you get to the rest of the game, you're just like, what the hell happened?
You know, it's funny because I was looking on Steam to see what that game looks like, but I completely forgot.
Oh, really? It also has a unique. It also has a unique way where you like. For you to heal yourself, like you actually can heal. You can put bandages on different parts of your body. So if you depending on how badly cut up you are, you can put bandages on different parts of wherever you're cut. So that's actually a pretty unique mechanic. I don't really see get used in like a lot of other games. You know, usually you'll just have like a health pack. And there you go.
I think you also mentioned the whole thing about bandages. I think it's funny though because I'm reminded of Far Cry 3 or mostly 3. How it's like, hey, you got shot up, when you heal, you take out a bullet.
Oh, that's
up, wrap around a bandage. Hey, your thumb.
Yeah, that was introduced in Far Cry 2. Yeah, Far Cry 2 actually had some pretty immersive mechanics in the game. Yeah, like getting shot. Yeah, pull the bullets out. The durability system I thought was fucking stupid, but they also had like the fire kind of realistically spreading around. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was another one. What other media that I think I mentioned Rogue Galaxy, which was essentially a it kind of reminded me a little bit of Final Fantasy X.
I've heard that game was good.
Yeah, it's made by the same people that made like Ni no Kuni was one of them. And they also went on to make the Professor Layton series. Which, funny enough, that's another one that's very underrated. Yeah. If you like puzzle games, that's one of them. I would recommend it if you like puzzle games. but they're on the DS and 3DS only.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I would say something could be underrated just because it's on a certain system, and it's just like there may be certain things about the game that'll turn a lot of people off from it. Maybe without even having played it, they'll just like see it and they'll be like, "Oh, it's not for me."
Yeah, like I've seen that a lot though. It's like people recommend one game and it's like, it's not for me. But then they'll push on you and be like, but it has everything you like about it.
I really think I can speak more for movies, and I'll mainly just focus on horror movies because you know, it's my favorite genre, and also just because it's like October, so so one I just recently actually watched before we started the podcast is called Terrified. This is actually like a movie I've been hearing a lot about because I hear it has like really good and effective scares, and that was the main reason why I kind of wanted to check it out, because I want to watch a movie that actually kind of scares me, because that's actually kind of hard to do because I just don't scare that easily when I watch a horror movie. But this one has some pretty damn good, like I will say, like, I just finished watching it and it's pretty fucking creepy. Like the practical effects in this are really good. The main thing that gets me sometimes that actually scares me is like if you have this weird deformed creature and it moves in an unnatural way, where it like just kind of creeps up to you. Like that gets me more than jump scares most of the time. Like that shit, it just really freaks me out. And this movie had a lot of that.
So it's something like, I was gonna say, so it's something like Pyramid Head
kind
from
of
Silent Hill 2.
And this movie also like I'll spoil one thing about it. Like it has a really interesting premise where like it doesn't really like, you think it's a like kind of a haunted house sort of like ghost paranormal movie, but then like near the end it kind of you find out that apparently these are not ghosts, these are interdimensional creatures that have come through another dimension. Yeah.
What?
Which
so it comes from a
not hell,
to
just
hell?
some other dimension, like that people can only see in like from a certain perspective or something. So I was like, that's a pretty different idea. Actually, it was like it's actually a fairly original movie too, and apparently, supposedly there's also a sequel in the works. So I'm excited to see that. But apparently, not a lot of people have really seen this because it's an exclusive to the streaming platform Shudder, which exclusively has horror movies on it. So not a lot of people have been able to really see it. I rented the movie on Prime because it was like $5 to rent. But yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, that's one movie I can bring up. There's also another one that I really think is a really good fucking movie. A Cure for Wellness. It's a really good horror movie. It's kind of it feels a lot like Shutter Island, but without the plot twist at the end of Shutter Island. It's an older movie, so I'll just go ahead and spoil what the plot twist for that movie was. Is basically where Leonardo DiCaprio is he discovers he was crazy the whole time and hallucinating pretty much everything. Cure for Wellness.
Oh, I thought you compared it to Shutter Island for a second.
Because it has a similar premise to where like this guy goes to this insane asylum or this place where people are, there's these crazy people. Same thing with Shutter Island, and there's some strange things happening there. So he's investigating, and it doesn't have the plot twist where he ends up being crazy. It's that this stuff there is actually happening, which I thought was good because I think as a horror movie, like you don't want to pull that twist again. And it's also a really old and cliche plot twist in my opinion, where find out the main character is actually crazy the whole time. That was one of the things I liked the least about Shutter. Like I think Shutter Island's an okay movie, but that plot twist just kind of killed it for me.
Oh, now I'm reminded of one movie that
also by the way, so
came out
the main
recently.
the actor and The Cure for Wellness is apparently the guy who played Hobgoblin in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think.
Oh,
I don't know what his name is.
His name. I think it was
so.
McCain. Oh, that's, you know what's actually funny that you mentioned.
Yeah. What?
The Caribbean
What about Pirates
movies.
of the Caribbean?
The guy who directed it, directed a Cure
Which
for
Pirates of
Wellness.
the Caribbean? Oh, also the good ones.
Yeah, the good ones. Wait, what are you talking about? That Dead Men Tell No Tales was a
I
good
didn't
one.
really see any after the third one.
What was it? I know for a fact when they did the fourth one, I didn't know why they did that shit.
Is that the one with
it
the
really
mermaids?
irritated me.
Okay.
Yes. It was the one with the mermaids, and it was terrible. Not terrible,
Yeah.
but it was meh.
Another underrated horror movie, The Void. Really good, really underrated. Really heavily inspired by The Thing and Lovecraft. So if you like those things, definitely should watch that. I don't know if I'd say that. Speaking of Lovecraft, I don't know if I'd say this one is underrated, but The Color Out of Space. I think it's gotten a lot of recognition, which is good. But I would definitely like to see it get more, and I want to see more Lovecraft adaptations from the director of that movie, which I think it was I forgot what his fucking name was, but apparently he's working on another one called which is an adaptation of the Dunwich Horror, which should be pretty good. The Color Out of Space adaptation was really fucking great. Nick Cage was perfect in it, so.
Oh yeah, I heard that he did.
Yeah,
really
he did.
good
I mean,
with
he's
that
supposed to be
movie,
playing someone who slowly loses his sanity. So I mean, that's a perfect role for Nick Cage.
Wait, what? Oh, it's actually a trilogy. Yeah, that's actually going to be.
Wait, what's a trilogy?
Watch. The Color of Space was the one in the trilogy.
It's a
Was
trilogy?
part of it.
Of what?
Yeah, according to Stanley, it was the director. It was the first film in a trilogy of Lovecraft adaptations.
I didn't know that. I know Richard Stanley. Yeah, he said he was working on Dunwich Horror, but I didn't know it was planned to be a trilogy.
Yeah, it's going to be an adaptation of it. Yeah,
I really, you know what? I really
speaking of
hope he does Shadow over Innsmouth, which is of course what a lot of the Cthulhu stuff gets adapted from. Was the short story The Shadow over Innsmouth. Really wanted to do an adaptation of that. I mean, they tried to do it with a movie, I guess I would say another kind of underrated movie called Dagon, which was technically an adaptation of The Shadow over Innsmouth, but for some reason they just called it Dagon. It's an okay movie, but it has problems, and it's not the best Lovecraft adaptation. Although I think it does get some things right.
well, I know they made it. I know that they made a video game based around the Shadow.
They made quite a
Shadow
few
over
based on it.
Innsmouth. It was called the Shadow of the Comet, but instead of Innsmouth, it's Innsmouth.
Well, they did that with the Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth game too, where the beginning segment is basically Shadow over Innsmouth.
I'm looking at video games that covered that. Apparently, they did. Apparently, it was in the DLC of Bloodborne. One of them was is inhabited by gruesome fishermen. Allegedly, draws inspiration from it.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of Lovecraft stuff in the Bloodborne game.
Bloodborne, Fallout 4, The Far Harbor. Even Oblivion had a quest called A Shadow Over Hackdirt, which is what they did with that one. And
What?
And also there's The Sinking City and Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah. I guess we could kind of talk about Sinking City with underrated stuff. It wasn't that bad, but I'm just like, it wasn't like I never finished the game, and it's just kind of like it's serviceable at best. Like I feel like it's one of those things where I would say it's kind of deserving of being as obscure as it is, just because it just kind of as a game it's a little bit repetitive and it's not scary. It's okay. Like it's not bad. It's just kind of okay. That's almost all I can say about it.
Yeah.
Also, the Call of Cthulhu, the official video game. That game was very mediocre in my opinion, except for maybe the very end of the game. Aside from that, the game was just incredibly mediocre, and it's way too linear. Your choices don't really matter. It's one of those games.
Yeah, I heard that.
I pre-ordered
I
that
actually
fucking
bought
game,
that game for
so
like $30.
Yeah, because I
yeah, you were.
I will say us Lovecraft fans are starved for like any Lovecraft adaptation that does halfway decent. Like, you know, is at least like halfway a decent Lovecraft adaptation. Because we just don't get many of those at all.
Yeah.
More often than not, they end up being disappointing.
I think it's also sad though because we mentioned Sinking City. Apparently, it got delisted from everywhere.
That. It's a good thing I bought it when it came out. So
yeah, I bought that, and I bought the DLC pass too. Which I don't think there's going to be DLC things for it anymore because.
Do you remember why they said it was DLC?
They do have a thing about it. Hang on. Hi, I do research on it. Hooray! Anyways, Big Ben Interactive's license to distribute the game, but their contract was terminated by Frogwares because of an account of both intellectual property violation and a lack of payment. So it was Big Ben's fault.
They didn't have a license for it.
No, it's that they didn't have a license. They didn't have their
gotta have a
rights
license
to do
for that, Mike.
You got a permit for that.
Mate, you got a license for that.
In the name of the Queen. Just starts beating them up.
Oi, mate, you got a license to beat your meat.
Do you have a license to use that meme? No? Well, too bad. You're getting executed for using memes. Oh, no. I'm trying to think. I think another one that you told me about was The Lighthouse. Wasn't that considered to be underrated?
Somewhat. I would say pretty much anything from A24 is fairly underrated. Just because it's more like a lot of more independent movies.
And I don't want to sound a little bit like in the artsy-fartsy type, but the movie Antichrist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, anything from that director, too.
But the only film I would recommend was Antichrist. That's like the only good film that he's made.
I haven't seen any Lars von Trier films, so I don't know.
Antichrist. I would say
I was interested in watching Antichrist. Is that more of a horror movie, or is that kind of like what would you say that movie is? Yeah.
Antichrist? It's like I said, I would consider it to be more of an artsy movie, but it's more of like a psychological horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like my share of psychological horror, so.
Yeah, and apparently the Antichrist was actually a part of his unofficial title trilogy called the Depression Trilogy. Imagine that. And apparently he made Melancholia and Nymphomaniac. Yeah. Which, funny enough, first one, experimental psychological horror. The second film he made, science fiction drama, and then erotic art film.
Yeah, 3 very different movies.
3 different genres, all part of the same trilogy.
Yeah, that just kind of confuses me because, like, there have been other directors that have, like, unofficial trilogies. Like, John Carpenter, for instance, he has the Apocalypse trilogy, which is the Thing, Prince of Darkness, and what was the other one? In the Mouth of Madness. Yeah. I was saying, the Apocalypse trilogy from Carpenter was the Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness.
All right. Man, that's like a blast.
Oh yeah, they're from like the 80s. Well, except from In the Mouth of Madness is from the 90s. Sam Neill. Might have been before Jurassic Park.
Okay, you know.
Well, hold on a
what
sec
is
before
very underrated?
we go. Like, if speaking of Sam Neill, like Event Horizon, that's another somewhat underrated movie.
Okay, so you're saying Event Horizon is a good underrated movie, but is it Neil
No,
Breen?
it's actually Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. Wait, he made something that's good.
Paul W.S. Anderson has done some good movies. It's just that now, for some reason, he's obsessed with doing video game adaptations, which suck. But before that, yeah, he made some decent, like, original horror movies. Like, he did, he did, what was it? Event Horizon, and he also did, Pandorum, which was very kind of similar to Event Horizon, but a little bit different, too. Event Horizon actually ended up inspiring Dead Space somewhat. Well, no, I mean, Event Horizon did.
Yeah. I think that, well, it makes sense because it takes place in space. That kind of, that does make sense, though, because Dead Space was actually, it was a good one. But it's funny, I didn't think that it came from
It was one of the inspirations for Dead Space. Like, Dead Space had a few different inspirations.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, what other films this motherfucker made.
Well, he made a lot of different movies, but,
Wait, what? He was the fucking director of the Mortal Kombat movie?
The first one, I think.
Oh,
well, that was actually good.
I mean, that one was not that bad.
Except Annihilation was a pile of shit.
Yeah, but he didn't do that one. Okay, I do have to, since we're going to talk about Paul W.S. Anderson, did you see the Monster Hunter trailer? Does it make you want to shoot yourself with an RPG?
Why are there military people in Monster Hunter?
Yeah, why is there military?
It's so easy too. Like, all he had to do, the fantasy world. It's just set in the fantasy world with monsters. It's all you had to do. But for some reason, he decided it'd be a great idea to just have, like, this interdimensional thing going on where, like, the military somehow gets transported into the Monster Hunter world. And I just don't know, like, cut that out. Cut all the military shit out, and it'd be okay. But they had to put that in there, and it feels so weird and out of place.
Or what would be fucking hilarious is what if you keep the military thing, but realize that the Monster Hunter monsters are coming in to, like, modern day world from a fucking portal.
I just think either way is stupid. I don't like either of those ideas, honestly. I just feel like it should just kind of stick close to what the game was. Like, that's the problem with a lot of these adaptations, is that all these directors, they either don't understand the game, or they just want to do their own thing to the point where it becomes unrecognizable.
Like, a good example of someone that actually got the adaptation, they took something and did it right, was the Castlevania series.
But I mean, that was an animated series. It's just, like, a lot easier to do, like, an animated adaptation than, like, a live action adaptation of something like that.
Okay, I'll resent that remark or retract it from the statement. Sonic the Hedgehog and Detective Pikachu.
I mean, I would,
those are good examples.
Yeah, it's just that there's very, very few.
Apparently, whenever they had the gif of I keep forgetting her name, Mila Jovovich or something.
Jovovich?
Jovovich. Yeah, and she's shooting the Diablos with a rocket launcher. I'm just like, if you just want a better experience, play Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. You can do the same thing, but with a Rathalos and M4s.
Yeah, and then, of course, Paul W. Anderson is obsessed with putting his wife into every one of his movies.
Well, I mean, Sons of Anarchy, the guy who created that, put his wife
I know.
as one of the main characters.
Like, every fucking movie. It just is like, Mila Jovovich is on it. It's Paul W. Anderson movie.
So, could you consider him to be the Uwe Boll of video game movies?
I wouldn't say he's quite that bad, just because Uwe Boll, like, he doesn't really have as much of a budget to work with, and he just shits out like a ton of these movies. Like, I mean, Paul W. Sanderson has done a lot, but not nearly as much, I don't think, as Uwe Boll. And they haven't been as egregiously... Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they've been almost as bad, but not quite. I would say, I guess, they're more tolerable movies, despite how bad they are.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Since we mentioned Uwe Boll, because I don't think he does films anymore, but he opened up a restaurant, and this motherfucker got a positive review for his fucking restaurant.
Well, hey, maybe he's meant more for the restaurant business.
Yeah. Yeah, he owned a restaurant. He like put his money into a restaurant, and the restaurant was successful. And he's like, out of all the years I've tried to do something, this is the only thing that was good.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe he's found his calling.
Yeah, he should be the next Gordon Ramsay. Instead of like yelling at people, calling them donkeys, he fucking challenged them to a boxing match. I would pay to see that. Like, a critic comes into his restaurant, it's like, this food is not that good. You dare say that outside? Me and you boxing match, $20.
It would just be funny. He like challenges critics, like like food critics to boxing. It's like, I don't really care for the texture of this. He comes out, he's like, hey motherfucker, you want to step outside?
Want to step outside? I have a boxing ring right here, right now.
Actually, it would be really interesting if Gordon Ramsay did come into his restaurant, and just to see the back and forth between the two of them, like if they would actually get into it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Gordon Ramsay is pretty toned, but I don't know if
I was about to say, like, who do you think would win in that? Like, do you think Uwe Boll would?
Okay, how would they do the fight? Are they going to do like a verbal or physical?
Well, considering Gordon Ramsay, I think it would start out verbal and then quickly become physical.
Well, because I was going to say, if it was just like straight verbal, Gordon Ramsay would win by a mile.
But you know,
it was like physical.
You know, Gordon Ramsay gets up in people's face, and he fucking like he just like gets really aggressive with them, and Uwe Boll probably would just, you know, immediately just take offense and start fucking going to town or something.
Yeah, he probably would. Jesus. What other, like, can you think of any other underrated media that you can think of, or
anything from Yoko Taro?
Are you good?
I think I've mentioned this before, though.
Oh yeah, Drakengard, Nier Automata,
Deadly Premonition.
Wait,
no, wasn't no. I mean, like, in general.
Oh, Deadly. Oh, that's actually one of them. But I think that one has become like not into obscurity, but it's become more like it came out more. Well, when the first game, yeah, but then they made a sequel and people talked about it, saying it's like a good.
Well, I think as the first game was ported to different platforms, it became more known. When it first came out and it was only on the 360, like, very few people knew about it.
Yeah. You know what? Since you said Yoko Taro, anything by Swery is good.
Yeah.
Like D4, The Missing, Deadly Premonition.
And D4 never got a proper conclusion.
It never did. Extermination was another one that he worked on. Wait, he did Tomba too? He was the only designer for it. And now he's working on other games. He's working on The Good Life and Hotel Barcelona. I kind of want The Good Life to come out because it looks like a weird game.
Yeah, anything that Swery does is pretty fucking weird. I mean, I would say in a good way. Yeah, like there's definitely a lot of underrated stuff, but it's like I can't really think of too much.
Well, I could go straight to my indie game list, but at the same time, that would just bore people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of indie stuff I could bring up.
Well, then again, there's a lot of indie stuff too that it already has like the mainstream attention, like anything from Supergiant or Devolver Digital.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, they still have a lot of indie games, but they've gotten a lot of recognition for certain games they put out, like, you know, Hotline Miami or Super Hot, I think.
Yeah, that one's okay. Like, I wouldn't call it like I wouldn't say it's a bad game, but it just. The VR one is the one I'm saying that's not that good.
Yeah.
But the original game was good. Along with Cook Serve Delicious is also good too. Essentially a business management food simulation game. That's all it is.
I could talk about a lot, underrated anime as well, but we'd probably be here all day if we started talking about those.
Fine, you know what? Let's just talk about the animes, like some of the underrated ones that either we know or you know. Mostly you, because you're the weeb.
Well, one of them is Death Parade. Death Parade, I think, is pretty underrated. Pretty good show, but I don't really like. There are people that enjoyed it, but like it's not super well known. Its basic premise is that people go to this nightclub that is this purgatory that's basically looks like a nightclub, and they have to play these games, and basically the way that they what was it, what they do and how they, like, as they'll come to revelations about like the things that they did in their life before they died, and based on what they do while they're in purgatory, they'll either be given the chance to be reincarnated, or they'll go to hell. So, yeah,
that's interesting.
And like, it starts out like the people that go there, it starts out pretty black and white, where like it's obvious who's bad and who's good. But as the series goes on, it gets a lot more gray.
So that sounds. Now I'm just reminded of Ghost Rider now.
The Marvel movies?
Yes,
nothing
the Marvel.
Like that.
Yes.
I don't know where you got that from.
No, you know how Ghost Rider is. He's like, "Hey, you're guilty. I'm going to beat your ass," but you're innocent.
No, it's not like that at all. Like it's yeah, it's completely different.
I mean,
it's good. I mean, and also there's Blood Plus, and I blame the reason why Blood Plus is so underrated just because it's pretty much out of print. Like you can only get the DVDs, and they're hard to find. But it's a good series. Can't really get into the whole plot, but it's a good show. Like it's an older show, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's a longer series too, but really good.
How long are we talking?
Like 40 some. No.
Like Bleach?
No, like 40 some episodes, I think.
Oh, good. I mean, that's not long. That should be like a normal anime.
Well, a lot of animes that are coming out today are more like 12 to 20 or so episodes.
Yeah, okay, like, but if you're doing like multiple seasons of it,
right,
that's fine. But if you're just going to be like, hey, here's an anime series. Oh, cool. Is it long? Yeah, about 12 episodes. It's like a sit through.
Welcome to the NHK. Another one that I just don't really hear a lot about, but it's a really fucking good show. Really funny, and also hits on some pretty serious subject matter. And pretty relatable too if you're an introvert. So but it specifically is more about the NEET problem in Japan, or I guess you could say the hikikomori problem, which a hikikomori is somebody who's basically have no job and no education, lives by himself and just is basically a shut-in and never goes outside. Apparently it's a pretty big problem in Japan, so it kind of talks about that issue. But it's relatable to anybody because, there's a lot of people like that in the West as well, but of course they don't call it right.
Yeah, especially now. Especially nowadays with the whole pandemic going around.
Now.
Where it's like, hey, you're laid off because you might have it. Okay, stay at home and do nothing. Trying to think. I'm trying to think of it. Oh, I know one.
Another one I can bring up.
That's based.
I'm thinking of older shows, but like Wolf's Rain, really good anime. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah,
it's a good show. Like, but the problem is that there's, for some reason, there's like 2 recap episodes, and I don't know why.
So like
sort
Phantom.
of, yeah. It's just like 30
for a Phantom.
Requiem for a Phantom is another one I would bring up as being an underrated show that people won't really talk about. But it's a good show.
What about Psychopaths?
Not necessarily. Like, I think it has a lot of mainstream attention. I would say specifically, like, season 3 is not as well known, though, just because of season 3. Like, I think it's because, like, I don't know if Funimation like lost their rights to Psychopaths, but they haven't really distributed it on Blu-ray or anything, and it's just exclusively like you can only watch it on Amazon Prime, which is weird. It's called Psychopaths 3, and then like Psychopaths 3, and then Psychopaths First Inspector, which was like the movie. Technically, it's supposed to be a movie, but they released it as 3 episodes.
Because they had 2 movies. They had the movie where they brought back the badass enforcer.
I think so. They did these Centers of the System movies, which I'm pretty sure like nobody really talks about either. I actually haven't even seen them because they did like 3 Centers of the System movies that are supposedly kind of tie into season 3, but you don't really have to watch them.
Yeah. I remember that they made the video game called Mandatory Happiness, which I remember when they made that free for PlayStation Plus, people were fucking pissed.
Yeah, how bad?
They gave us an indie game. Give me Call of Duty. I actually don't know what they wanted that year.
Another series people don't really talk so much about is called Garo. Basically the premise is like these characters have this like armor they wear that makes them kind of like really powerful. They slay demons known as horrors. It's more of an adult show, not so much like, as the genre is basically called like seinen, where it's more adult oriented. Shonen is more like teenage, more targeted towards boys, like teenage boys. Seinen is more like adult. Garo is more like in that category. But it's a pretty good action show, I would say. It's definitely worth a watch. There's Garo, the animation, and then there's Garo, what was it? Garo Vanishing Line. There's another one they made called Garo. What was that? It was like it was right after Garo the animation. It was
how do you spell
Garou.
Oh, you said
Vanishing
Line. You said.
There was another season after the animation. I forget what it was. I forgot what that was.
Oh, never mind. It's Garo. You said there was another one too.
It wasn't good.
There's Garo Beast of the Demon
there's
Knight.
live action ones. Like I'm talking about the animated ones.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, there's one season I think is the anime that was like right after the original Garo. It was total shit. Apparently, it was not good. Vanishing Line is actually good though. Vanishing Line, like the original animation, takes place in like a fantasy world. Vanishing Line is actually modern fantasy, so it's a little bit of a different take.
I'm for Garo now. But I can't find it anywhere. I can only find like the animation and Vanishing Line. Unless it's called Hanu no.
That was the animation, I think.
Well, then never mind. I can't find it. Oh wait, series order. Okay, there's Garo, the Curse, Seal of Flames, Define Flame, Crimson Moon, Fleeting Cherry Blossom,
might
Vanishing Line.
have was it Crimson? No. Okay, yeah, it was Crimson Moon. Yeah, Crimson Moon. Don't watch it. I hear it's trash.
So essentially, it's kind of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. How there's like certain parts.
It's not
like,
a part. Like it's a completely different story. Like it's Crimson Moon has different characters, a different story, different setting.
Oh, so true.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Gotcha. You know what? I forgot one video game that I think we both played, but I completely forgot about it until I looked over my game shelf.
Oh yeah, Plague Tale. Yeah, I completely forgot about that one. Plague Tale is a really good one. It's a really underrated game, and it's a really decent adventure game with interesting characters and a decent story. But it just doesn't really. I mean, people liked it when it came out, but people just don't really hear much about it. But yeah, I would say it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, that's another one. Vampire is another.
And it might just be because it's made by Don't Nod. It's probably like the only really good game they've made.
Cass, I have a question about Don't Nod. Tell me why Life is Strange.
Yeah, I see what you did
there. At least it's not a goodbye Inferno Eye. Goodbye Inferno. I kind of want to get.
Was it Inferno High or Volcano High?
It is. I think it was Inferno High. Okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Volcano High. Whoops. Oh no, damn it! It's only coming. Oh no, never mind. It's actually coming out for PS4 as well. Because it's going to be a timed exclusive.
I'm sure everybody's just scrambling to play that fucking game of the year.
Yeah, everyone wants to play as Scalies. Like, okay, I'm going to say this for the record. This is somewhat underrated because nobody really talks about it.
I just had a fucking... Okay. Underrated games. The Thief franchise. All the Thief games, except the recent one. Fuck that thing. Fuck that game.
Oh, Thief. Thief. I thought you said D for a second.
Well, D is too, yeah. But,
is it... Okay, which one had the final... One of the bosses was a vagina?
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Was that D2?
Yes, so it might... I know D2 was a weird game, so it could have been.
Hold on.
But now I'm really D2. Fucking intrigued now that you said that. I'm like, what the fuck?
D2 vagina.
So is that actually a thing?
I think it is. Let's find out.
Do you have to stick something in it to kill it?
Hey, God. What the fuck? Let's see if I can find it.
But yeah, while I was doing that, the Thief franchise is a really good stealth franchise that if you have not played, and if you're a fan of stealth games, you're seriously missing out. Like, it's a really good game series. But not only does it do stealth well, it also does horror elements well too, because the game has it's a really unique mix of fantasy, like stealth, zombies, the supernatural, and just really good atmosphere too. Like, it's a little bit of everything, especially if you play Thief 3 and you get to the Shalebridge Cradle level. That is one of my... Honestly, I would say that's one of the best levels in video games. Really fucking creepy level.
Nope.
It is, so is the thing.
Yep, it was D2. Yep, there is a stomach vagina boss.
I need to play that now.
Yeah, no, it looks okay. It's like the xenomorphs when they just pop out the mouth.
What do you mean?
Looks
the mouth?
like that. You know how the xenomorphs when they open the mouths and all of a sudden a little creature tongue comes out? Yeah. Like, man, it's kind of like that. Except much worse.
Right. I'll have to play this now.
I think you should, just because how bad.
Yeah, I can't believe I completely.
No, I was about to say. Eva's actually good. I do agree. The remake was terrible.
In the original games, I really like the mechanics of the game. Like, where it depending on what surface you're walking on, you can alert the guards. Like, if you're walking on like hardwood floors, everybody will hear you. If you're walking on carpet, you can't really be heard. If you're in the shadows, you're basically invisible. You can just bonk everybody over the head with your blackjack, like hide the bodies.
I do have Thief.
I would highly recommend playing it. It's a great game.
Ah, shit! I accidentally got the wrong Thief. Cancel that one.
The reboot.
I actually do have the reboot too.
Yeah, I played the reboot. It was terrible.
Here's why I have the reboot as well, because they had a sale that came with all 4 games, include the DLC for it, for like less than $20.
The reboot, like, I could see they were trying, but yeah, no cigar. Most, but no cigar.
I know one game that got attention, but it was very underrated, and it stopped getting much attention now because time went on. Was Night in the Woods. Essentially the game that people were like, this will make me a furry.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before.
It's a good game, though. It actually does. It tells a really good story and all that. So
yeah, but I think
it's underrated.
I think we've covered quite a few different underrated things. Unless there's something else you can really think of.
We kept going. No, I kind of want to go on to franchises that should have gotten the better treatment that they got now.
I can bring up one actually. The Castlevania Lords of Shadow games. Like the first one had a lot of potential, and then the second one just completely killed it.
Or do you just mean the Castlevania video game?
Well, I was mostly just specifically referring to the Lords of Shadow timeline, where like they had potential with the first game, and even with the premise of the second game, but the second game just totally killed any further potential that it might have had.
I agree, because it looks promising.
Like, I like the idea of Dracula in the modern day. Boy, the modern day segments are shit.
I did. Yeah, it's like I did like the fact that they made a Belmont to Dracula, which was nice.
Interesting idea.
But the sequel then bring Dracula to modern day, and it sucked. I would
like to see another attempt at like a 3D Castlevania game. I don't know if we're ever gonna.
It's called
that's more like you could say it's 3D, but it's like more trying to be classic. I mean more like the either Lords of Shadow or what we got with some of the PS2 games.
Lament of Innocence,
Curse of Darkness,
and Curse of Darkness. Yeah, those were good games. But make Bloodstained into like a 3D one, but that probably won't happen because it's more of a Castlevania, Metroidvania game anyway. I think Star Wars needed better treatment.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I'm not talking about the games though, because they already improved themselves with Fallen Order and Squadrons, but the films in general should have been better.
Yeah,
because I finally had a chance to watch Rise of
that.
Skywalker. Yeah, I finally got a chance to watch it. Passed out midway through.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'll say this: at least it's not as painful to sit through as like Last Jedi, because the movie just kind of goes by at a lightning fast pace. But
no. I'm gonna kind of one up this. It makes The Last Jedi better, in my opinion. Because with The Last Jedi though, at least it kept me awake. Rise of Skywalker put me to fucking sleep.
I mean, I will say at least JJ tried to sort of redeem Luke as a character, but it's too little, too late.
But it's so fucking boring, though. Like, I watched it, the beginning scene with Kylo Ren. Okay, it's actually somewhat interesting. But then you bring in the Mary Sue of Star Wars, and I'm out.
I did like some things about the beginning segment where, like, he's going to Exegol and all that, but then when he realized, the Emperor is somehow back, then just anything else just pretty much kills that. It's just like, how the fuck is this even happening?
Yeah,
That not only the
like,
Emperor's back, but he has a bunch of vats full of Snokes.
And fucking thousands of
come
Star
out of the
Destroyers.
fucking
Like,
ground.
how the fuck? Yeah, how the fuck?
He also has a cult, like a cult of thousands of people just kind of hanging out on the planet. Like, none of it makes any fucking sense. And then, like, the final battle, it's just like, who'd you bring with you, Lando? I just brought a bunch of random-ass people to help. It's like, oh... okay.
And they end up dying.
People thought they were trying to do, like, an Avengers Endgame where, like, you know, Lando just comes in and is like, I brought the reinforcements, you know, and it's just like these random fucking people from across the galaxy.
Yeah, Lando just comes out of nowhere and says, remember Star Wars?
And then we get, you know, who I was really concerned, the character I was most concerned about was Babu Frick, the fucking little monkey thing. You know, I really wanted him to survive.
What?
You know, I'm glad that he survived.
Why? Gee. It reminds me of the fucking meme or the joke that Nostalgia Critic did. Like, it reminds me of the fucking Nostalgia Critic joke. Was like, well, did Boomer make it? Boomer.
And then they had that random fucking hair dryer droid, Dio. He added fucking nothing to the plot.
Wait. Did the Dio come out of nowhere? It's like you thought it was just a hairdresser, but it was Dio.
Had Dio, fucking Darth Uchi, killed fucking Rey's parents. I call him Darth Uchi.
Jesus Christ.
I had to find Darth Uchi's ship.
Wait, Darth?
Oh, his name's Ochi, but I call him Darth Uchi.
Ochi. No,
you probably don't even fucking remember who he was because he was in like a really quick flashback where he kills Rey's parents and he's called Ochi, but it's like it's fucking Darth Ochi. Yeah,
Darth Ochi. It's like you could just make this to a parody. Darth Ochi, more like.
And they had the random ass space worm that Rey had to. It was angry because it had an injury and Rey had to use Rey had to use her Jesus powers to heal it.
Okay, that's the one thing I fucking hated in, what was it, Rise of Skywalker. Like, all the fucking sudden, Rey can actually just levitate in the air and have rocks rotate around her. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
And she still hasn't completed her training.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why the fuck do they... Okay, why the fuck did Kathleen Kennedy look at Rey and be like, oh no, she's actually related to Skywalker? It's like,
actually, no, she's related to fucking Palpatine. Because, you know, we just pulled that one out of our ass. Who did Palpatine fucking sleep with, though? Like, that's what I want to know.
Motherfucker, have you seen the prequels? He was actually not that bad looking.
I guess. I just want to know, though, like, who the fuck actually would sleep with him? They never really clear that up.
What if it was a test tube baby? What if Rey's parents were test tube babies? And then all of a sudden they grew up to be aliens, and then Dark Coochie came out of nowhere and slayed them all because we need convenience.
What do you think of that, like, they did like the flashback scene with where they de-aged Mark Hamill or whatever. They did like a I think they de-aged. I'm not sure what the fuck they did for that, but they did like that scene with like young Mark Hamill, like and Leia just like fighting each other, like Leia kicking his ass.
I don't know because
you didn't see that
scene. Passed the fuck out. No, I passed out midway through the movie. It bored me to death.
You needed to see at least the climax to see how retarded it gets, though, because it gets so stupid.
I know that it spawned a fucking toxic fan base of Reylo.
Yeah, the fucking Ben Solo or fucking Kylo Ren. It's like it's like I killed my father and I feel no remorse, but my mother died. Well, now I gotta question everything.
My mother died.
And then it was only when
mother was
when I saw the ghost my father that he really convinced me I should turn back to the good side. It wasn't as convincing though when he went up to me and tried to convince me when he was still alive. But when he was dead and he was a ghost, I found it more convincing.
Because Harrison Ford was a lot better when he's dead.
I'm actually surprised he even fucking signed on for this.
I think when he got on screen, I didn't know what face he looked like, but he looked like, great, I'm here again. Where's my million?
I mean, this is the same guy that wanted to die in Return of the Jedi, so I mean, it's yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just like, please no, I just never want to be Han Solo again.
Yeah, but he's still going to be Han Solo until he dies. I know for a fact on his tombstone they'll have Han Solo's
He'll be
face.
like rolling in his grave.
That's the idea, and you just hear the let me out. He just gets out of his grave, kicks over his tombstone, completely ruining the Han Solo face. He's like, finally, I can rest in peace.
Anyways, franchise that deserve. Oh, actually, another one I just thought of. Avatar, and not the James Cameron.
Which one?
The animation.
Which version? Are you talking about the live action M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Fuck.
Okay, good. Because honestly, I think that if they ever did a live action movie, it should have been a lot better than that piece of shit.
Yeah, but I'm mostly like referring to how
tell.
it turned into fucking. Well, I mean, like you already mentioned, legend or it turned into the live action movie, and then we had the fucking Legend of Korra. So yeah, the franchise sort of went downhill after the original series came out.
Yeah, which I don't understand. And then they would try to make a live action TV series.
Netflix show.
Netflix?
I thought it was Netflix.
Hold on, Avatar. Now I gotta look this up now. Oh no, I was thinking of another thing too. Hang on. Live action series. Okay. It's still in pre-production, but there's no... Oh yeah, it is on Netflix. But there's no plans about it.
I'm calling it. It's gonna fucking suck.
I am going... Wait. Oh, right, that's right, because the creators of fucking Avatar Last Airbender left.
Yeah, it's gonna fucking suck.
Yeah, he lost control of the creative decision.
I mean, just it being a Netflix thing should give you it should be as much of a red flag as anything. I mean, it's like...
Does Aang twerk in it? Can we get close-ups?
Don't put that image in my head, please.
Well, for a fact Netflix would be like, yeah, as long as there's that. Oh, can the children be naked in it like Big Mouth?
I swear I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but holy shit. I swear if they put out another movie that's even remotely similar to fucking Cuties, I don't even know. I don't know how the fuck they would stay in business at that point.
They'd probably stay afloat because people contribute and give them money.
Have their fucking mega corporations will still donate money to them because they're all fucking corrupt.
Yep, like the assholes they are.
Anyways, anything else you can think of?
Golden Sun.
I have no opinion on it.
Golden Sun is a great turn-based RPG. It was published by Nintendo, but created by Camelot. And it's pretty nice. It was a good game. It was long. It had a lot of great potential of being a great series. Because they made the first two games. They were great. Then Nintendo decides to make a third game, and that one completely sucked, giving them the shaft that they didn't need.
Well, funny you mentioned the shaft, because so we already kind of did give some examples of franchises that got the shaft. But I don't know if we really answered why or what can cause franchises to get shitty treatment.
Maybe, well, in the case of Star Wars, control. Like an executive tries to take control of the fucking franchise.
One other franchise too I can think of, considering it's relevant to horror, the Friday the 13th franchise. Friday the 13th franchise, and I guess you could say somewhat the Halloween franchise too. At a certain point, I mean, and I guess just because this is true of a lot of slasher movies, it just becomes totally repetitive and devoid of any original ideas. Halloween, on the other hand, did have at least some original stuff in there. We have Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is actually not really, I don't know if you'd really even say that's a slasher movie. It's actually completely different. But then with Friday the 13th, it's for the most part, it's pretty much the same idea every movie. So it's just that gets stale after a while. You could say that with Nightmare on Elm Street as well, but I would say at least with Freddy, he's a more interesting villain as opposed to Jason. Just because Freddy there's a lot more you can do with Freddy. Jason, we are kind of limited.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Jason, because they're super beings, how they can do anything. Jason doesn't die and
to be fair, Michael Myers is also a pretty similar idea too.
Yeah, but at least I will give Michael Myers a lot more credit. I mean, the recent Halloween movie that came out actually redeemed the franchise.
Yeah.
While the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot and the Friday the 13th remake both fucking
I would say at least with the Halloween franchise, at least Michael Myers is a bit more of a consistent character. Jason, it feels like they kind of play fast and loose with Jason and what he can do and his backstory and all that.
Yeah. How it's oh hey, he actually drowned in Crystal Lake. Then it's oh hey, he's just an urban legend. Oh wait, he's actually a serial killer. Yay.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. Michael is pretty straightforward. They don't really change it, at least not too much as the movies go on.
Yeah, how he became he just became a mass murderer because he came from a shitty childhood. And then you have Freddy, who no one knows who the fuck he is.
He was a person. He was he apparently was implied to be a child molester, and he killed children. And then he became Freddy.
Right. I'm reminded of the fucking Simpsons episode where they made fun of Nightmare on Elm Street. Where it's groundskeeper Willie going around killing children.
Speaking of which, we have the Simpsons too. The Simpsons franchise that kind of lost its way. Series that lost its way.
Hell, can't you just say that about Family Guy as well? Yeah, because Simpsons, Family Guy, American. Well, I wouldn't say much.
As far as I know, South Park is the only really kind of long running, show that's still, for the most part, still going strong.
The most part, yeah.
Hiccups here and there, but it's been pretty consistently,
they come back
decent.
Yeah, at least they come back with a funny episode. Then you get Family Guy that every once in a while you'll get a good side story in one of the episodes, but nothing else. A good example is Peter gets to a fight with Liam Neeson, and it actually has fucking Liam Neeson in there too. But it was just a funny thing, though. And then you get Simpsons that just revolves around pop culture trends. Like flossing and fucking Baby Shark. Do.
Yeah, it gets old after a while.
Yeah, because I watched one of the Christmas episodes that had Sideshow Bob as the main, quote-unquote, main villain in there. And they, in the car ride, they're all just singing Baby Shark. I'm like, is this what The Simpsons has deranged itself to? Pop culture memes?
Well, I think we can kind of go into, did we really answer this? What causes it to, a franchise to lose its way.
Yeah, I think that's the second one. First one is executives taking control of it, and the second one is they're trying to like get involved with the trend.
I think it's definitely that, but also like lack of any new or original ideas. Trying to play it safe.
That's actually
like not trying to really do anything too different. I mean, sometimes you can do something that's so different where it becomes unrecognizable and it's not a good thing, but the opposite can be true as well, whereas if you stay, you just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again, it gets stale.
Oh, and I think another one is that they try to appease the lowest common denominator of comedy whatever. Because there's like a lot of shows that are a lot fucking better than like Simpsons and all that, but they get overlooked because they're not popular enough or they don't get much attention. Hell, I know one show that definitely lost its fucking way is Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
Yep. Because did you watch the first two seasons? Yeah, and did you see how like it was actually kind of funny at parts? Yeah, and then you get to the third season and you have another reason why some franchises lost its way is because of the fans. Fan bases kind of
that's
ruin
another
things.
thing. Like fan bases do that
Because they took the Szechuan sauce joke way too literal by storming McDonald's, screaming like tards for their Szechuan sauce, and then trying to petition McDonald's to actually get the fucking sauce. And then the pickle Rick meme.
Pretty much killed any of the comedy the show had.
I'll tell you something funny there, Chaos. There's this guy. He turned himself into a pickle. They called him Pickle Rick. Funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
It gets funnier after the first 1,000 times I fucking heard it. It's like
exactly.
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered most of that.
Like what makes some franchises lose their way.
I think. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, I was gonna say, kids, what have we learned? Executives take control and they ruin things. They want to appease the lowest common denominator. Fan bases kill things. They also want to play it safe. And also money. Money is another reason why.
But I think we can probably get to one of the first recurring segment at least. What we like so far.
The two that I actually have thought of, they actually correlate once in one another.
Okay.
The game Eichenfeld that came out recently is really fucking good. It is essentially an indie game that has a retro feel to it, but plays a lot like Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi with the time controls. It's a really fun game. It has a cute sound effect when you save the game. And I blame Adriana Figueroa for recommending the game.
Ooh.
She is, this is the second thing that I like this week. She is a cover artist that does songs from like anything, mostly vocal covers. She's actually really good. If you ever look her up on Spotify, you'll see most of her work. But yeah, she's to blame for the reason why I like Eichenfeld. So yay!
I really don't know what I like this week so far, or what I like so far.
Well, you already said it.
What?
You already said it.
Oh.
Terrified.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I could bring that up because I really don't know anything else. The only other movie I really watched was because I already did a review of it was Alien Covenant. I actually was putting off watching that movie because heard so many negative things about it. It wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't really a good movie either, in my opinion. It's kind of mediocre. I actually thought Prometheus was better than that movie, but it had potential. Like,
that's what
it had potential. Like, it had good things about it. Like, the necromorph was cool. The xenomorph, even though it made no sense to be there, it was there, and it was good for what it was in that movie. It was just that the characters are fucking stupid, and the plot literally happens because of the character's stupidity. And like I mentioned, David makes no sense as an antagonist, at least in terms of his motivations. So it's just kind of a fairly poorly written movie, I would say. And if you're looking for a proper follow-up to Prometheus, you won't really get it, because the only real follow-up we get isn't flashbacks. It takes place 10 years after Prometheus. Elizabeth Shaw dies off screen, so that was pretty fucking disappointing.
Or if you just want a better experience, play Alien Isolation.
It's also disappointing we're never really going to get a proper sequel to that game, I don't think. Alien Isolation is another game I could have brought up with underrated media. More people need to play it. It's a really good horror, especially this month. Yeah, like it's a really great horror game, and it's a really great alien game.
I might play some of that later today.
Like if they want original movie ideas for like an alien movie, like make a movie about Amanda Ripley, they could do that, because they haven't really made any, as far as I know, they haven't really made any movies about like Ellen Ripley's daughter. There's so much stuff they could do there, because Aliens takes place years after the first movie, so they could just make like a whole like series of movies about like just Amanda Ripley and what she was up to.
Yeah, you said a series,
they could do
right? Or a video game.
I mean, they did do that, but of course, we have yet to get any sort of sequel to it. And like I said, I don't think we ever really will, unfortunately. I mean, unless, because I don't know, I forget. Like, I think there's a reason why. I think they said that a sequel's never going to happen. I forgot what the reason was, but apparently it's
Ridley Scott, probably. Was it Ridley
I'm not
Scott's
sure.
fault?
Like, I think it was just. I'm not sure if it was because the developer is not working anymore, or like what the reason was. I'm not really. I have no idea. I just heard somewhere like they said, the sequel's not going to happen. So that sucks.
Yeah. Which is sad. We need a good.
We're in
game.
desperate need of one, especially because all we're really getting are fucking mobile games. And I can't overstate enough how fucking tired I am of that shit.
Yep. So, can we think of anything else we like?
That comes to mind. I'm pretty sure I'll say like once I start playing at the new Amnesia, but
I think you could say that for the next one. So, I don't know what I came up with for the question, but it's like, what costume would you go as for Halloween, since Halloween is coming up? I don't know why. Fuck it.
Yeah, let's think on that one. What about you?
A goose.
From Untitled Goose Game.
God damn it, when you figured it out.
Like, that's pretty much the first thing that came to mind.
Fuck. Yeah, because I just want to go around, like, honking at people, chasing them around, and just stealing their shit. I mean, what's not to like about that? Or you could just take that fucking Untitled Goose Game fucking picture with, like, the goose stealing panties from that one anime character.
I would probably go as Emil from Nier, like just the weird, like the thing Yoko Taro wears, the fucking mask. I'd probably fucking wear that thing just to freak people out.
I was gonna like poke fun at you and be like, you're not gonna dress up as Emil. You're gonna dress up as 9S and like it.
Well, I would hope that maybe some of the women might want to dress up as 2B.
And what, have them sit on your face with their Android ass?
Hey, in that case, maybe I will go with mine.
Nah, I think Emil would be better.
Emil gets all the pussy.
Exactly.
All that Android
Taro, you actually ask for it. Yeah, you just ask for the fucking
yeah, send him the zip file.
Yeah, send him the zip file. He appreciates it a lot.
So let's see.
Yeah,
I
think that's just
that'll do it.
That we got.
If you want to go ahead and read out the links in social.
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. The links are to the left and right of us, and then we'll just see you back in the next podcast episode. So we'd actually do Halloween for once.
That one.
So yeah, we'll see you all later.
I really miss my name.
Nope.